Welcome back to Behind the Caution Tape. I'm your host, CrashLit. Today, I am really excited to be joined by USC men's basketball alum Joshua Morgan. Make sure to follow him on Instagram at Joshua P. Morgan 24. Joshua, welcome to the show. I'm super excited to have you on Behind the Caution Tape to talk about your time at USC and just your basketball career and what you're up to now.
I mean, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. So let's get right into it and start out with just kind of like what got you into basketball? How old were you when that happened?
Funny story actually. I didn't grow up wanting to play basketball. My dad actually made me kind of just keep playing it. He made me go out for the seventh and eighth grade team, to which time both times I made neither of them because I was horrible, god awful. And then my freshman year. We had a freshman team on my high school, and luckily, we did because if not, I don't think I would have made JV either because I was super bad. And then so I made that, and then afterwards I was like, okay, you know what? Like I guess I can just kind of stick with it. But it was really my dad that kind of pushed me into like, hey, keep trying out, keep playing, and it kind of just worked out like that.
Gotcha. What made you kind of stay with it, even if like, times were tough, or as you were kind of, saying like you didn't really like it, or just you weren't really sure you wanted to, kind of keep going with it at times?
Well, after my freshman year, I did kind of pick up the love for the game. So it didn't make it too hard, but honestly, I'm just never been like one of those people that kind of quit something once you picked it up. So, I just kind of stuck with it, and as I got better and better, it got more fun. And as I got more fun, I liked it more. And as I liked it more, then I kept wanting to be better at it. So kind of just dominoed into, me getting all the way up to here at USC.
Gotcha. And then obviously you didn't come to USC directly out of high school. You did have a stop, and that's what I want to talk to you about you next. Like,
Yeah.
talk to me about just what your, college recruiting process looked like and what led you to choose Long Beach State out of high school.
Yeah, so I guess we kind of have to start back at freshman year again. So freshman year to junior year, I was at one school, and my senior year, I transferred to our rival school down the street. But the first 3 years, again, just not a good player, like tripping over my feet all the time. It's really just not a very complete, not that much potential type of player. And then I transferred, and then in that year, or I guess technically that summer, I had like exponential growth. So I went from being like unranked. I think I was still unranked on most accounts, but like after the summer and a little bit into the preseason, I caught some people's eyes, and Long Beach State was my first D1 offer. Took a visit. They offered me on the visit, and at that point, I think it was in October, right before my birthday. So I think it was like October 2nd, maybe something like that, of my senior year. And I'm like, this is my first offer. I'm just gonna take it. So I liked Long Beach State. I like the coaching staff. I like the campus on my visit. So I committed the first offer that I got, which was Long Beach State. And luckily I did because I ended up dislocating my knee like a week or 2 weeks after that. And so I wasn't able to play the rest of the season. So I was pretty happy that I took that one.
Okay. So how did you kind of fight through that and, get yourself, healthy to have like, obviously, a big first year at Long Beach State that would ultimately help, propel you to come to USC?
Yeah, so the for my high school, I had a lot of people supporting me in that aspect. So I had some friends who were like their parents were chiropractors and I had a trainer. We always just was doing the rehab. My parents were very supportive and they always took me to rehab, whether that be like 45 minutes all the way out to Stockton or whether that was, something else. But really just doing that rehab and then going to Long Beach State. The training staff there was phenomenal. They really helped me out. Going in, and this was in the summertime, so I think I got there in like late May potentially. So I went like a couple months early, just to get my body right. Put on some extra weight, and really the training staff, the coaches, all the people were like very exceptional and really dedicated to making sure I got back to being healthy.
Gotcha. And then what were some of your just, favorite moments from your time with the beach during your 1 year with them?
My favorite moment to this day we had a senior. His name was Griffin, and it was senior night. I think we were playing Cal Poly, if I'm not mistaken. And it was senior night, and this man goes in and he just starts raining him. I mean, like he like back to back to back. Like, he's not missing. He's not missing. We end up winning that game. It was close, a great crowd, and everyone was just like very, very, very happy for Griffs. Like senior nights are important. So we got that win, and it was fantastic. Like to this day, first thing that comes up to mind when I think of Long Beach State, like Griff, that game against Cal Poly in his senior night was just fantastic.
And then after obviously, a pretty really good year at Long Beach State, what drew
Mm.
you to, USC just after that 1 year?
Yeah, so it was COVID, so our season got cut short in the postseason. We were going to play our conference tournament, and like literally as we're getting ready to step out the warm-ups, they're like, "Hey, shut it down, season's over." So that was when COVID started. We all had to go back home, and um, it was really a mix of, as you said, I did have a pretty good season at Long Beach State, so I did kind of have like my choice of where to go. Um, but I really kind of kept it to, schools that A, I've been to before and played, or B, or like the kind of like the West-ish coast. So like I wasn't going to go like all the way over to, the South, and I've never been there. I can't take a visit because it's COVID. And I kind of have to take my word for, take people's word for it. Like that just really wasn't something that I wanted to do. So it really came down to, if I remember correctly, it was USC, San Diego State, UCLA, Arizona, and Oregon, and I think Arizona State as well. So really, pretty much the Pac-12 and San Diego State, pretty much all California and West Coast schools. So, but I played USC before. That was when O was there. We played Big O and the rest of the team over there. So in the Galen, I'm like, okay, I've been here. Like I like how coach like runs his bigs. I like his team. I like the Galen Center. I like LA. So for me, it was kind of just one of those things that fit. And when Andy, gave me that offer, I'm like, it was it was just really good. So yeah, man, Galen was just really that place I've been to, had played there before, and it kind of just, kind of stuck with me.
It's actually what I want to ask you about next. What was it like, playing against USC while you're still with Long Beach, but then facing Long Beach State, I believe it was 3 times as a
Yeah,
Trojan, then like for your like last 3 years of college.
yeah, it's the first time, was definitely like something that take note of, like especially being like the next year. But I don't think I played that first time because I was pretty much redshirting that first year. And then the second year, I was on minutes behind Chavez and Isaiah. So the only time I really played them was one time, I think my junior year. But, there was no bad blood for me and any of the coaches or any of the players. And, players move around a lot. So most of the team that we had played, I hadn't even seen them before. They were all new. Um, but yeah, I mean, I, dapped up the coaches, talked to them, gave them hugs and all that stuff, well wishes. There's no bad blood between me and Long Beach State ever. And I have no bad things to say about them. So it was really just one of those games that, kind of had a circle, but at the same time, it was like, there's no rivalry here. It's just like, I've been around the block type of thing.
Gotcha. I'm just always curious because it's like it seems like I was curious if like you ever when you were at Long Beach playing USC if you're playing with a chip on your shoulder. Because one thing I seem to notice, at least in the matchup last year where they won, was they really see a lot of those guys really seem to be playing with like a chip on their shoulder from maybe not being recruited enough by more kind of more top programs, I guess.
Yeah, when I was at Long Beach, we played, UCLA, USC, Arizona, and a couple other like top teams. And it's just like there's obviously levels to, programs that you're at. And once you get that opportunity to play on a big screen, national television, everyone's watching, scouts are watching, you have to make that moment, you have to make the best of it. So yeah, every single time I expect them to come in with a chip on their shoulder because that's just what you do, and that's how you get to the next level, or overseas or to the NBA. So yeah, you do come in with a chip on your shoulder for sure.
Yeah, I was really just curious, especially like I said, after seeing that matchup and just everything. But I'll then ask you, even though you didn't play too much on that team, what was it like getting to be a part of the Elite Eight team in 2021? And then also talk about the experience of, getting that ring afterwards, the first game of that next season.
Yeah, it was a fun. Man, the COVID thing was the weirdest thing ever, I will say. But navigating that, it was really fun being on a team that goes not just to the first round and the NCAA, then you go to 64, then you go to 32, and you're like, oh my God, we're still winning. We go dancing Sweet 16, and you're moving states, I believe. I think we moved to like two different, maybe three different states, for different arenas. And the hype around it, seeing how much the fans at USC are, watching this thing. When we beat Kansas, I think it was like 30 points, and I'm on Instagram that night, and I'm just like, yo, this is something special. Like, I haven't been a part of this. Like, it's super cool to see firsthand, but it's also super cool, as a Trojan in general. So yeah, obviously didn't play too much, but it was an experience that I really did enjoy. And then, getting that ring afterwards, I forget which game that was, but I still have it. Well, technically my mom has it. She likes to keep all that stuff safe for me. So
Yeah, gotcha. I just remember that was, I think, the first game of, I think it was that following season. I just know that because that was my first ever USC basketball game. So that's why it's like it really sticks out to me just because it's like, oh wow, like here, oh wow, this program's like should be fun. Like my first game ever for USC
yeah.
basketball. So that's why I was
And then
curious
you went
about
to
it.
how many more do you go to after that? Like 300?
Sounds about right. And counting. Anyways,
Counting.
I want to ask you more about obviously, your next year. Was it like, getting, more time that second year at USC? You weren't starting yet, but obviously, you were getting, play more.
Coming off of a season like where you're playing against, Evan Mobley, Chavez, and Isaiah in practice all the time. Um, it's interesting. You don't really get too nervous about playing against any of the other guys in the league because you're going up against like what was he, number two draft pick or number? Yeah, I think he was like number two or number three.
Evan Mobley, yeah, like
Yeah,
three, I think.
yeah. So you don't get too nervous. Going against other guys, and you have Chavez. He's a bruiser, so you're not going to get too worried about other guys either. So as you said, it didn't start, but I was getting some pretty meaningful minutes, and it was just coach was trusting me more, teammates were trusting me more, and I was just kind of happy to be out there and prove myself.
And then how do you feel you grew as a player and person as stepped into that starting role your last 2 years at USC?
Yeah, so um, I definitely think playing against those guys really helped a lot. Having that time under my belt, but instead of just transferring and being thrown straight into like a starting position. I think having that ability to gain some more pounds of muscle, get some more experience in my belt playing against high level competition was really good for me. And then you know as I said, it kind of the rest I earned my starting spot, kept it throughout the season, and it just you know did whatever it was that I did, whether it was on the defensive end, offensive end. My teammates trusted me quite a bit to make some, big plays, whether it be on defense or, giving me the ball on offense. So, yeah, it really just, I don't even know how to describe it. It was just kind of a forward progression. It felt pretty natural, I guess.
Gotcha. And then what did you learn about yourself from just about yourself like during like some of your tougher times at USC, especially, that last year's where you were talking a little bit about when,
Yeah.
when the season didn't really go the way that you and your teammates were hoping it would?
That's a good question. I think I learned about myself that I'll also put this to the rest of my team is that even though things were very difficult and like the entire season, well, not the entire season, but most of the season, things were pretty difficult. But none of the guys on our team quit. Even after games that we lost, or we're like we should have won this game, or we really need this game. No one really came into the locker room with their heads, like down below their head, down below their neck, including myself, and really just kind of showing that resilience of we don't have to be winning to feel or to perform like a top, performing team. So I think I learned that about myself is just the resilience of, maybe going back to my Long Beach State days where I think we're like 11 and 21. So like I had experience losing and like a lot in that season. So for me, it was just like going at 3 years of winning to 1 year of, back to not as promising season is just really having that resilience to, keep going and keep pushing, keep going every game as if it is like the first game of the season.
Yeah, I think that resiliency, I think, at least from what I saw, was really on display when you guys went to Poly Pavilion last year and took out UCLA in their own house. Like that was a really exciting game to be at, and just obviously it was so sad. I mean, and it was just like it looked like you guys were just, you guys were just really, I think, displayed that resilience. Yeah. So what'd you say there? Sorry, like cut out.
Oh, just saying, I agree.
Gotcha. Yeah, that definitely was like a fun game to be at for sure. So yeah, and then obviously besides the Elite Eight run, what were some of your favorite moments playing for USC?
Um, I think that obviously every time we went to March Madness was fun for me. Like I always loved it. Um, Beating Arizona at home was huge. I think that was like the first time. That's the first time I remember, well, at least when I played them, like beating Arizona at USC. So that was super huge. Um, I know there was a couple games that I just really enjoyed. Oh, dang, it slipped my mind. But all the tournaments we had, Bahamas was super fun with the guys. That was super fun. Our Croatia trip, the overseas one. I think that was our team last year, in my opinion, was like really a lot closer than any team that we've had. And I think a big part of it was going on that trip with everybody. So, kind of getting to experience the guys outside of just an LA setting, outside of just a basketball setting, and have fun with each other. For me, that was definitely something that I'll take with me for the rest of my life for sure.
What about Crosstown Showdowns? Any memorable moments, any of those games?
Man, I always played bad against UCLA. I was always so mad after every game, unless we won, then I'd be happy. Um, but yeah, man, I was always in the middle of the games. I was always so mad. I'm like, why is it always UCLA? I just like dropped the ball on it. But the time we won at home, I believe, was it last year? I think.
USC didn't win last year. It was 2 years ago, and then my first year, I remember fans stormed the court. If that's which one you're getting at.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We have the picture of that in the locker room. So that was with Isaiah Mobley yelling at people and all that stuff. Yeah, yeah, that was a good moment too.
Yeah, that was a pretty memorable moment for me as well. And then, what are some of your favorite moments from USC off the court?
Off the court. Mm, Man, that's a good question. I didn't really do anything, Crash. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was basketball, school. Dang, I don't even remember anything at this point. Um, let's circle back to that because I'm gonna have to think about that one.
All right, I'll come back to it later in the interview then. But then, what did you study at USC?
I studied psychology. So I was a social psychology major, which is like social science with an emphasis in psychology, but I just said social psychology because it's basically psychology without the math classes for good reason, because I did not like those math classes at all.
Gotcha. And then after your time at USC came to end, were you thinking of going pro? And what was that process like? Are you still considering it, or just did you decide not to pursue that path?
Yeah, I knew forget what point in the season. I was just like, yeah, after this season, we're just gonna be done. So yeah, I had no intentions to go pro after my senior year in any regard. So I kind of just, flat out retired. Um, and then luckily I had, the right pieces in place to where I didn't really have to struggle after I graduated. So that's pretty lucky in that aspect.
And then what are you doing now in terms of work and just, right now?
So I currently work at this tech company doing sales. So that's what I've been doing ever since I graduated. I think like a week after I graduated, I had that job, or I had it lined up before I graduated, one of the two. I can't really remember, but yeah, I've been doing that. I moved up to Burbank, so out of the big city part of LA. And yeah, I've just been doing that ever since I graduated. It's been fun, I'm enjoying it, and yeah, really no regrets on that aspect.
Gotcha. And then obviously, you're still close enough to make it to a good number of USC games as well. Seen you a couple times at Galen, which has been cool to see.
Yeah, the alumni are very, very, very supportive. Always love to see them. They're always super nice. And it's obviously not too hard to get tickets for it. So appreciate that much.
Yeah. And then what's it been like being back at games, especially with, new coaching staff and from the time you left, only Harrison Horner and JD Plow still left on the roster.
Yeah, that part is a bit um sad to see in any aspect. Obviously very happy for the program for, that's just how things go. But um I it did put me a little bit away from like being as close to the team as like I would have liked, because it's just everyone's new, and I'm not around campus to where I get to meet like all the guys and the coaching staff. But I knew beforehand because he had been recruiting me to go to Arkansas. So I talked to him a little bit when I was a fresh or after my freshman year. Um, but either way, I mean, it's like I'm, Trojan for life. So whether I'm people that's kind of I'm gonna know them or not, it's just like I have nothing but love for the Trojan family. So it's always great regardless.
Gotcha. Do you talk to have you like talked to us at all if after games at all or anything like that?
I've seen him preseason a couple of times when I went in back into the Galen Center. Just introduce myself, say hi. Um, and so I've talked to him, talked to the coaching staff pretty briefly, but nothing extremely excessive, I'd say.
Gotcha. And then looking at kind of what's USC's remaining schedule this year, what do you think the key to their success is in this first season in this new era under the Big Ten, as well as with new team, new staff, new everything, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, they shown flashes of the team that, they're very resilient. I will say they play like all 40 minutes. I don't think anyone has any problem with their effort, their hustle. So I think that they have the capabilities to kind of be a tournament team. I think they really can be. And I think Muss's coaching, carries that, and he's really good with getting the crowd engaged. But they've been pretty good on the road. I saw they just beat Nebraska,
Yeah.
um, and they beat Illinois before then. So they racking up some good wins. Yeah, they beat it. They did beat Iowa.
Yes,
I was
it
there.
was
Yeah,
Iowa, but then they fell to
yeah, they lost to
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Yeah, yeah, I was there for both of those games as well. So they've shown flashes of like the teams that they can be, and I think now it's just kind of being consistent. Being midway into the season, and yeah, but I think they really do have the potential to be really good. And maybe clean some stuff up. Obviously, like help side defense or um, well, I'm not gonna be too nitpicky, but I think they can be a really good team.
Absolutely. I usually just always like to ask like all the alums I've talked to so far. I always like to ask them kind of like what do they see in like in the team now once they're kind of now sort of now on the outside looking in. They're not like they're in the huddle every day.
Yeah, it's weird because like now I'm not like imagining myself. Well, sometimes I do like imagine yourself playing. Like I think it's just kind of how it goes. But having that outsider perspective of like oh, this is what fans are looking at the entire season is it's been a little weird, but um I'm enjoying it. So
Yeah. How has that adjustment, I guess, been? Even though like you knew you were kind of at peace with your decision to retire, as you put it, but how did you kind of how's it kind of just been that adjustment to not going to the gym, not practicing, not having games twice a week?
well, the level of physical activity definitely has decreased. I still go to the gym to stay active because I don't think I'd be able to ever do like without it at this point. But like running multiple miles a day is not something I do every single day now.
I was more
Uh,
referring to like as in like just like the basketball intensive routine that you're going through when you're at USC, I guess, not so much like
oh yeah. In comparison, I feel super lazy. Am I a lazy person? No. Like I still work out every day, but in comparison to doing all of that stuff every day, I do feel a little bit like a lazy person. But I know that I'm not actually like that. But I definitely feel like I do need to pick it up a little bit more just to get back to that sense of normalcy. Um, what level that would be, I'm not sure, but it's definitely adjustment going from being a D1 athlete to just a regular person.
Gotcha. And then, are you going to be at the Crosstown Showdown on Monday?
Of course,
All
would
right.
miss it. Would not
Figure.
miss it.
And then on that note, Kobe Johnson, now with UCLA, previously at USC for 3 years, is making his return to Galen. I asked the same question to Ethan Anderson on Saturday when I had him on. Gonna ask you as well. How's it
Sure.
gonna? How do you think it's gonna feel to see him now suiting up for UCLA and making his return as a Bruin?
I've seen, well, first and foremost, Kobe's my guy. I was at his last game once they played Wisconsin, yeah, I think they beat him, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they did, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I can't remember. It was literally like 2 days ago. But yeah, so that's my guy. I've seen him, dressed up in blue a couple times already. Is it the most, beautiful sight? No, I hate that color, but that's still my guy. That's still my guy either way. But I did tell him to his face and of course his parents as well that once they come into Galen, I will be booing him once he comes out like, yeah, force down every single time. Not even gonna play about that.
Here's what I've said. Like I've said this multiple times. I'm definitely gonna say it on Monday on my weekly rundown again. And I've told it to Ethan, and said it last week. I've said it like multiple times. I don't
Mhm.
blame him for going to UCLA. He had to do what he thought was best for him. Like,
No,
and I think that's what everyone's doing these days. Like, so I've just learned not to blame anyone. But at the same time, it definitely bummed me out. He chose to go to the dark side. So I'm definitely gonna be booing him. Anyone who's listening to this is gonna be at that game. Make sure you boo Kobe Johnson every time his name is called and fours down.
make sure you boo him. I will make sure to do it as well. So
Yeah.
don't worry about that.
I'm not worried about you. I'm just like, I just, want to make it clear that it's like, I don't, to anyone who like might see like maybe I'm setting double standards, just like, that's just the nature of how college athletics is. But at the same time, it's like,
No,
I'm a
this
USC
is
guy.
USC.
So
Yeah,
I'm a USC guy. We're facing UCLA. It's always fours down.
exactly. Every single time. No one's
Gotcha.
blaming you on that.
Yeah. But then, have you thought about any of your favorite moments at all? Like anything?
Oh, man. There was a couple times that we went out after UCLA that one time. They did drag me out. I don't go, if you couldn't tell, I don't go out. I stay at home. But they did drag me out because we beat UCLA, and I'm like, all right, whatever. So we go out with them, and honestly, worst experience of my life? No. Like I enjoy the guy. So, it was something that was fun. Going around campus, places I hadn't really ever explored at all. So I think going out with like my teammates has been something that is and will be like something I remember for sure.
Gotcha. And then a couple more questions, then I'll let you go. What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Best advice I've ever gotten. I I don't know who told me this, but someone told me that it doesn't have to be perfect. No, he says you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be decisive. It was like something that someone told me. And that's kind of always stuck with me because I'm very much like a perfectionist. I like to have all the details down, like to make sure everything's like ready to go beforehand. And a lot of the situation is just like you have to figure stuff out on the fly. There's only so much or so far theory can get you in any situation. So um like having that courage to come out with the product before it's completely ready or go out before you feel like you've trained enough is just something that I would always like be like telling other people. It's like you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be decisive.
And then my final question for you is what's the best advice to anyone who's listening to this, sees you and wants to play basketball? It's like who's looking at saying, I want to be like Joshua Morgan, play college basketball at a high level.
Mm. I think being 6'10" helps. I would say try and do that if possible. Um, but other than that, I mean, same old advice anyone's gonna tell you is just it's literally just the amount of work you put in. I've seen a lot of people who are 6'10", 7 feet, 7'5", I don't know, that don't play at a high level, or it just is what it is. It's really comes down to the amount of work that you put in, like how serious you are about the sport. Are you putting in hours, or are you, making sure that your body's recovered? Are you eating the way you need to? Are you sleeping how much you need to? Like, are you sacrificing the things that may not be as important so that you can get to the level that you want to be at? It's a lot of sacrifice in this, with anything, but in athletics for sure. When you have a million other guys, I want to be in the exact spot that you are. You're going to have to sacrifice a lot, and you have to put a lot more effort than you probably think you should. And that's just the nature of the beast. So, um, same old advice anyone's going to give you. You got to work for it. Of
Gotcha. Joshua Morgan, thank you so much for your time. It was an honor to have you on Behind the Caution Tape, and I was really enjoyed learning about your story through this interview.
course, thank you for having me,
All
Crash.
right, so that's going to do it for us today on Behind the Caution Tape. Thank you again to Joshua Morgan. Make sure to follow him at Joshua P. Morgan 24 on Instagram. Follow me at CrashLit on social media. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get them, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We're everywhere. If we're not, let me know. Check out my website, crashlit.com. We'll see you on Monday for the weekly rundown, and I'll talk more about the UCLA basketball game. Fight on.
Oh.